The live stream timer on the giant screen hit midnight and the words flashed in red across millions of phones, TVs, and laptops at the same time. Get ready, American Horror Story Season 13. Teaser premieres Halloween 2026. People screamed, cheered, laughed. But then something else happened that nobody expected. The teaser didn't play. The lights in the studio went out on the live video. The feed glitched. The picture twisted like someone grabbed the camera and bent it. People watching at home thought at first it was just part of the show. It wasn't. Everyone watching began to hear breathing. Slow, deep, wet breathing. And then, for less than 1 second, a face showed up on every screen in America. A face nobody recognized. It looked human, but not fully. Too many teeth. Eyes like they were awake and dead at the same time. No hair. Skin like candle wax, melting, but still trying to smile. And the voice whispered clear, like it was right behind you. Season 13 isn't fiction. We start Halloween 2026. We already picked who's in the first episode. Millions of people heard that at once. All across the country. And then the live feed cut to black. Phones started ringing 911 all at once. People on TikTok and YouTube were crying, shaking, saying the same thing. It said my name. It said my name. It said my name. Parents ran into their kids' rooms because kids were screaming. Grown men said they weren't scared. Or whatever. Then locked their doors. In New Jersey, a teenage girl fainted. In Texas, a 42-year-old man unplugged his whole house and sat in his car in the driveway with the lights on. In Ohio, a boy told his mom that the face from the teaser was still talking inside the TV even after the TV was off. And in Los Angeles, where the teaser was being filmed, 4 people inside the studio didn't come out. Now here's the part nobody knew yet. This didn't start on Halloween 2026. This started 3 days earlier, on October 28, 2026. 3 days before the live stream, a small group was called into Stage 17 on the Fox lot to film the big teaser reveal. It was supposed to be a top secret thing. Do not leak NDA, you get sued if you talk. All that. Only 9 people were allowed in the room. No phones. No personal cameras. Only studio cameras. The director was a woman named Lauren King. She was calm, smart, and always wearing black. She had done horror promos before. She said, "The teaser doesn't show any of the real scenes from Season 13. It's just a mood piece. Red lights, smoke, whispers, old school horror. You know the style." Nobody thought this was weird. The script for the teaser just said this. Static. Heavy breathing. The Season 13 reveal text. Then a creepy laugh. Then, Halloween 2026. Simple. Clean. Viral. But when they tried to shoot the breathing, something went wrong with the sound. The audio tech, a guy named Nick, said into his headset, "That's not me. That's not us. Who's on mic 4? Everyone else said, "There is no mic 4. The breathing wasn't coming from their setup. The breathing was coming from inside the live channel feed. The one that was connected to the future live stream. The one that was supposed to be totally off until Halloween night." Lauren frowned. "Just mute it." Nick tried to mute it. He muted every channel. He even turned the whole input board off. The breathing didn't stop. Actually, it got closer. You could hear water in it. You could hear spit. You could hear like someone was opening and closing their jaw while their mouth was full of blood. And it wasn't in their headphones anymore. It was in the room. The actors they hired for the teaser, 3 background actors who were supposed to wear masks and stand in the fog, stopped joking. They turned around and stared toward the back wall of Stage 17, where the props cages were. The part that was always dark. Nick whispered without meaning to whisper, "Who's back there?" No one answered. Lauren looked annoyed, like, "Okay, funny, who's messing with my shoot?" She walked toward the props cages with her phone flashlight on, even though phones were technically not allowed. The breathing got louder. She turned the corner toward the cages, and immediately said, "Stop. Whoever that is, stop. You're not supposed to be here. Don't move. For about 3 seconds, nobody else in the room moved either. Then Lauren said very quietly, "Who did this to you?" That scared everyone. Nick stood up so fast his chair fell over. "Lauren? Lauren, come back to camera. Let security check it. Get me a first aid kit," she said. Her voice sounded wrong. Slow. Like she couldn't breathe right. Now. There was a pause. Then she screamed. Not a movie scream. Not a fake scream. It wasn't loud like in movies. It was sharp. Like something cold just touched her stomach from the inside. Everyone ran. Nick tripped over cables trying to get to her. Amber, one of the PA's, production assistants, started saying, "Call 911, call 911," over and over like a loop. The 3 actors in masks ripped the masks off and just stared, not knowing if they should help, or run out and get fired forever, or stay and be professional. When they reached Lauren, she was standing but shaking. Her phone was still on flashlight mode and pointed at something in the dark corner. At first, nobody understood what they were looking at. It looked like a person, but not standing. More like hanging from the ceiling, but not with rope. More like attached. Like skin had melted into metal. The skin was pale and blistered, like it had been pressed against something too hot for too long. The lips were torn. The eyes were open. The mouth was moving slow, like it was trying to talk, but the throat had been cut too deep and too wide. The body was twitching like it was still alive, but the neck was open. Too open. Wrong open. Amber gasped. "Oh my God! Oh my God, is that makeup?" Nick shook his head. "We don't have this build. We didn't approve this. This isn't us. This isn't in the teaser." Lauren lifted her hand. "Don't touch it," she whispered. But then the thing touched her. It moved. Not the arms. Not the hands. The mouth. The hanging, melted face leaned in and pressed its mouth to Lauren's ear and whispered something. Right into her ear. Like it knew her. Like it had been waiting for her. Lauren froze. Her eyes went wide like a deer in headlights. She didn't blink. Nick yelled, "Hey! Get away from her!" He grabbed Lauren by the shoulders and pulled her away from the thing. She stumbled and fell to her knees, shaking and gasping. The flashlight dropped and spun on the floor, making the whole room look like fire was dancing on the walls. For a full 5 seconds, nobody spoke. Then Lauren finally said, in a tiny voice, It said we're not making the teaser. It said the teaser is already made." Nick stared at her. "What?" Lauren swallowed. "It said the teaser premieres Halloween 2026. It said it's going live tonight." Amber stared. "That's impossible. Halloween is in 3 days." Lauren blinked. "Not anymore." The lights in stage 17 shut off by themselves. The cameras all turned on by themselves. And every single screen in the room, the preview monitors, the backup monitor, even Nick's watch screen, showed the same face. That melted face. Closer now. Smiling. It started talking. Streaming. Live. And somewhere in America, right that second, a kid in Indiana named Jacob Miller was sitting in his room in the dark with his headphones on, just scrolling, just bored, not knowing any of this, and his YouTube homepage suddenly refreshed by itself. He didn't click anything. The video just opened. And the face on his screen said, "Jacob, we picked you." Jacob Miller yanked his headphones off so fast they almost broke. His heart was punching in his chest so hard it hurt. For a second he just stared at the laptop screen like it was a snake. The video had closed by itself. His YouTube was back to normal. Just gaming videos. News clips. Halloween makeup tutorials. Nothing scary. Nothing live. He swallowed. "Nope," he whispered. "Nope. Nope. Nope. I'm not doing this." Jacob wasn't a little kid. He was 14. He wasn't supposed to scare easy. He wrestled with his friends. He watched R-rated movies when his mom fell asleep on the couch. He told people at school he didn't believe in ghosts. But that voice, that wasn't a haunted house voice. That voice knew his name. That voice said, "We picked you." Picked him for what? He slammed his laptop shut and sat still in the dark, trying to hear if anything else in his room had changed. The only sound was his fan. His posters on the wall weren't moving. His closet door was closed. The hallway light outside his room was still on, because his mom always left it on. Normal. Normal. Totally normal. He tried to breathe slow. Then his phone buzzed. He looked down. New message from an unknown number. At first he rolled his eyes and thought, it's just one of my friends. It's Mason. It's probably a prank. Mason loved to mess with him. Mason would totally fake something like this. Mason would think it was funny. But then Jacob read the text. Happy early Halloween, Jacob Jack-o'-lantern. We start filming you at 12:13 a.m. your time. Don't turn off the light. His stomach flipped. He checked the time. 12:07 a.m. His throat went dry and he couldn't swallow for a second. He texted back with shaking fingers. Who is this? The bubbles popped up right away. Like whoever it was had been waiting for him to answer. American Horror Story. Season 13. He stared at that answer for a long time. It didn't even make sense. A show can't text you. A TV season can't text you. He tried to laugh. It sounded fake. He whispered, "It's Mason, it's Mason." Like he was trying to hypnotize his own fear and make it sit down. But Mason didn't know about 12:13. Mason didn't know his exact minute. Mason didn't know his hallway light was on. Mason didn't know he called his mom Mom and not Mother or Ma. Mason didn't know, but the voice did. The voice said his name like family. Down the hall, he heard footsteps. Slow. Not his mom. She walked fast, always fast, like click, 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 click. These were slow. Heavy. Careful. Jacob stood up from his bed and grabbed the closest thing he could find, a metal baseball bat. He held it like it weighed nothing, even though it actually felt heavy in his hands. His breathing was way too loud now. He tried to make it quiet, but it wouldn't go quiet. The footsteps stopped outside his bedroom door. And then, very soft. Tap. 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 Not a knock. More like nails. Jacob didn't say, "Who's there?" because that's stupid. He just lifted the bat higher. The door handle turned. He panicked and yelled without thinking. "M.O.M." No answer. The handle turned again, slow. That was the moment his fear turned into anger. Anger is easier to feel than being scared. Anger feels like power. He took one step toward the door and raised the bat, ready to swing the second it opened. But the door didn't open. Instead, someone whispered through the crack where the door meets the frame. "Jacob, can you see the camera?" Jacob froze. His arms dropped. "What?" No answer. He blinked. His mouth went dry again. "What camera?" No answer. He slowly leaned in, just a tiny bit, toward the door, trying to see if anyone was standing in the hall. He could only see a thin gold line of light through the crack. Nobody's shadow was in the way. He hated that. If you can't see them, it's worse. He whispered, "What camera?" This time, the voice answered. But it didn't sound like one person. It sounded like a lot of voices, all piled on top of each other, talking at the same time, but saying the same thing, like a twisted choir. "Above you." Jacob's whole body went cold. He looked up. And that's when he saw it. There was something in the top corner of his room, near the ceiling, where the two walls met. At first his brain said spider, big spider. But it wasn't moving like a spider. It was too still. Too perfect. And it had a tiny red light. A tiny, steady red light like rec. Like a real camera. "Nope." His voice broke. "Nope, No, you're not supposed to be in here. You're not allowed to be in here." Then his phone buzzed again. No parent consent required for real events. His hands shook so hard the bat almost slipped from his fingers. "This is illegal," he whispered, even though he wasn't totally sure it was illegal. He just needed the words. "You can't film me without permission. You can't." 12:12 a.m. Jacob stared at the clock on his nightstand. 1 minute. He wanted to run to his mom's room. Wake her up. Scream. Call the cops. Call someone adult. Tell them there was a camera in his room. Tell them someone was at his door whispering like they lived here. But something else stopped him, and he didn't even know why at first. He felt watched. He felt like if he moved wrong, something would happen fast. He felt like he was already on camera and every move he made was being recorded by someone who wanted him to run, because it would look scarier. Then his TV turned itself on. He didn't even touch the remote. The screen lit up, and it wasn't Netflix, or a game, or normal cable. It was just black with gray mist blowing across it. And then text appeared, in the same font the show always uses. The American Horror Story font. He had seen it 100 times in edits. Live shoot. Season 13. Episode 1. Subject, Jacob Miller. Location, Indiana. Air date, Halloween 2026. Recording now. Jacob's mouth opened. No sound came out. Then the mist on the TV cleared, and he saw something that made him drop the bat completely. He saw stage 17. He saw the same wall where Lauren and Nick were standing. He saw the hanging, blistered body in the dark corner. Except, now it wasn't just hanging. Now it was looking straight at him. Through the TV. Right at him. Like it could see him in his bedroom in Indiana. Like there was no distance at all. He took one step back. The thing's mouth twitched. Stretched too wide. The skin around it cracked like dry paint. It leaned close toward the camera and its jaw shivered like it was trying to hold in a laugh. And then Jacob heard it in his own room, not the TV. "There you are." He couldn't breathe. He couldn't scream. His chest felt locked. Meanwhile, back in Los Angeles, inside stage 17, Nick was losing it. "What did you stream?" he yelled. "What did you just push live? Tell me you didn't send that out. Tell me we're not broadcasting that. Tell me nobody saw that." Amber was crying now. "It wasn't us. I didn't touch anything. I swear I didn't touch anything. I didn't touch anything, Nick, I didn't touch." The cameras in stage 17 were still rolling by themselves. The little red lights on each one were solid. That meant live. That meant public. That meant every single thing in the room was being sent out. Lauren grabbed Nick's arm and squeezed until her knuckles went white. "Listen to me," she whispered. "It talked to me." Nick looked at her. "What?" "It leaned in and it talked to me," Lauren said, shaking hard. "That thing in the corner. It told me how season 13 works." Nick swallowed. "Lauren, this is not funny. It said every season used actors, until now." Nick stared at her. Amber wiped her face. "What does that mean?" Lauren looked sick. "It said season 13 uses real people. Real towns. Real houses. Real moments, not fake scenes. It said the show won't build sets this time. It said America is the set. It said we're done pretending." Nobody spoke. Lauren swallowed again. "It said the teaser premiere on Halloween 2026 isn't a teaser. It said it's a warning." Nick shook his head. No, that's just, no. I'm calling the police. I'm calling security. I'm calling everybody. I'm shutting this whole thing down." He reached for the wall phone. That's when the hanging body in the corner, the one that wasn't supposed to exist, turned its head all the way around, bones cracking slow like ice breaking, and looked right at Nick. It opened its mouth. And in a voice that sounded like a child trying not to cry, it said, "Nick, don't call anyone. You're first."